You had a new report today talking about how many times Trump officials have appeared on Fox News in the first month of his presidency. So, what's the headline that you can share with us, and what's the significance from your point of view as someone who studies the media?
In the first month, Trump officials have been on 124 times, which is a lot.
In 30 days, 124 times, folks.
It's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a real lot. And it shouldn't come as a surprise. The most significant person or the most regular person has been Tom Homan, who's leading the immigration charge, right? And
Right.
that's obviously because it's reflective of their priority. And what I think is key about this at a top level is, obviously I run a nonprofit. When you raise money, after you raise money, you tend to go back to the people that gave you money in a year and say, hey, I told you I was going to do this, and it's been a year, and here's the examples of how I did it. Can I get some more money?
Right.
You report back, and it's
Sure.
kind of what they're doing here, right? That if you're a Fox viewer, you got hammered with certain messages and promises and assurances and stories for a very long time, and they need to make good. And they, at minimum, at a narrative level, whether or not it's actually happening is kind of irrelevant. They need to make good to a key part of their audience, because there's a segment of the base that is mad that more mean things are not being done to immigrants, right? And so they need to sort of shore that up first, and to make it seem like the problem is gone. And Tom Homan being on the most 20 times is reflective of that. It is very
Interesting.
clearly, a tie in there. And then the rest of it is like the usual suspects, right? I mean, obviously Trump has been on 5 times, and Doug Burgum and Sean Duffy. None of these things should be terribly surprising. Obviously, Marco Rubio has barely been a presence on there, which should tell you what you need to. And neither has JD Vance, right? He's been on like 3 times, and in these minor appearances, it's not been somebody he's let out there front and center, which should be the opposite, given the fact that his role in other ways has been seemingly diminished. And but no, he's not been a big presence, and that's, I think, because he doesn't want to get the attention. So big picture, that's what I think is significant about it. The other part, though, is like, it tells us what we need to know about Fox, is that they've always been sort of an extension of the administration. The last thing, though, and this is the difference between this time and last time. And last time, there was a feedback loop between Fox and Trump. And so sometimes
Yeah.
Trump would be leading Fox, and sometimes Fox would be leading Trump. That's not the case right now. Fox is an extension and purely a secondary mechanism by which Trump is distributing his messages. And I think that's because a lot in the landscape has changed, right? Between X and Trump having his own platform. And that means that in a weird way, they're just desperate to have that presence. And they don't want to lose their edge to some of these newer figures like a Jack Posobiec or a Charlie Kirk, who's literally on the plane sitting next to, the vice president on some of these rides, or, Benny Johnson, who is at the EPA, there as if he's like one of the team, reporting and talking about these things that they're doing, sort of getting their propaganda out. So that is, I think, that from just a qualitative sense, it is an indicator of their changed posture in the landscape. They are no longer central to that feedback loop. They're just basically sloppy seconds right now.